Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to jump right in and unpack something pretty much all of us know a little too well, that agonizing monthly wait for the paycheck. You know the drill, right? We've been completely conditioned to think that a bigger salary is just the ultimate financial fix. We wait, we put in the hours, and we assume that the next pay bump is going to magically solve the whole shebang. But, as we'll uncover today, that's kind of a fundamental misunderstanding of how wealth actually works.
So here's the slightly uncomfortable truth we really need to face right off the bat. There are just a massive number of people out there pulling in six-figure salaries who are literally struggling to build any real wealth. I mean, they make fantastic money, sure, yet they're still living paycheck to paycheck, completely stressed out. Which, of course, leads us to a pretty critical question. If a high income isn't the magic silver bullet, what actually creates wealth? Well, today we're going to smoothly navigate through exactly why relying on just a salary might never lead you to financial freedom, and more importantly, what you absolutely should be building instead.
All right, let's dive straight into Section 1, the salary illusion.
To really wrap our heads around the solution, we have to look at the rigid mechanics of earned income. When you're actively working, your income is generating. It puts food on the table, it keeps a roof over your head, it does its job. But the second you stop, whether that's for, say, a much-needed vacation, inevitable burnout, or an unexpected illness, the money just stops right along with it. Your time is totally chained to your earning potential. You're essentially just renting out your hours. And that direct, unyielding link between your time and your money, that is the absolute biggest bottleneck of earned income.
Which brings us nicely to Section 2, the inflation trap.
So, the natural thought process is, okay, I'll just work harder and snag a bigger salary. You get that promotion, your paycheck goes up, and you feel totally victorious. But then, almost immediately, you get hit with this invisible tax. The cost of everything. Housing, groceries, healthcare, insurance, transportation, it all just mysteriously rises to meet your brand new income level. Boom, your exciting raise is completely neutralized by these daily, unavoidable costs. The reality here is mathematically stubborn, guys. If your lifestyle expenses accelerate at the exact same speed as your income, your net financial standing literally hasn't moved an inch. So yeah, a higher income absolutely does not always equal greater wealth.
Okay, moving right along to Section 3, the rich buy assets.
Now, if a salary is capped by time and raises are just constantly eaten up by inflation, how in the world does anyone actually break away from the pack? Well, wealthy individuals operate under a completely different framework, mostly because they do not depend solely on salaries. Instead of just trading hours for wages like most of us were taught, they pour their resources into building businesses, securing real estate, and holding dividend-paying stocks. Basically, they're acquiring vehicles that generate value totally autonomously.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core shift in mindset we're talking about today. See, earning money demands your active presence. You physically have to be in the room, on the Zoom call, or at the desk. But building wealth? That's entirely different. That's about acquiring assets that do all the heavy lifting for you. These assets just keep on producing income while you sleep, while you travel, or, while you're just hanging out with your family. Disconnecting your time from your revenue is the true separator here between merely staying afloat and actually building lasting wealth.
Let's look at how to actually do this in Section 4, multiple streams of income. If relying on a single salary is risky, and trust me, it is, then true financial resilience comes from diversification. This means systematically creating multiple streams of revenue for yourself. We're talking investment returns, rental yields, digital products, royalties, or maybe a side venture that you eventually scale up. And I want to be exceptionally clear here. The goal is definitely not to dramatically quit your day job tomorrow morning in some big blaze of glory. Actually, scratch that. It's more like methodically building these side streams in the background until you are simply no longer held captive by that single paycheck.
And that leads us to the big one, Section 5, true financial freedom.
There's this massive myth in popular culture that financial freedom means, buying overnight mega yachts and literally never lifting a finger again. But the reality is far more grounded and, frankly, so much more powerful. True financial freedom is simply hitting that tipping point where your assets generate enough passive income to cover your lifestyle. That's the finish line. It's the definitive moment when money finally works for you instead of you working solely for money. When the yield from your investments and businesses equals or exceeds your monthly burn rate, you've officially bought back your life.
Don't get me wrong, a salary is a highly valuable tool, especially in the beginning. It provides the initial capital you need to even get into the game, but by itself, it rarely builds a lasting legacy. The real objective is to leverage that salary, not just to inflate your lifestyle and buy fancier things, but to acquire the assets that will ultimately buy back your time. That right there is the paradigm shift that literally changes everything.
So, ask yourself right now, is your daily grind actually building your wealth, or is it really just paying for your lifestyle while you run on a treadmill? Shifting to an asset mindset is step one. But what about all those hidden roadblocks along the way? Well, in our next explainer, we're going to be covering the biggest money mistakes keeping you poor. We'll break down the specific, invisible traps that erase hard-earned wealth, hopefully saving you years of frustration. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.